double check. Chairman John Aaron Coover.
Here.
Member Linda Rodriguez.
Here.
Member David Mueller.
Here.
Member Robert Hubbard.
Here.
Member Lisa Burke.
Here.
City Attorney Nancy Meyer.
Here.
City Manager Matthew Koppler.
Here. Thank you. Open comments for the general public. We have none in the audience, so I will bring that back to comments from city manager. Pass it to Mr. Koppler for his comments. Okay, thank you. Comments from the board. Start with my right, Member Hubbard. Member Mueller.
No.
Member Burke.
No.
Vice Chair Rodriguez. I have nothing as well, so moving right along to our agenda. First order of business is item number 1, first reading of resolution number 24-29, fiscal year 24-25 Community Redevelopment Agency budget. I'll pass it to Mrs. Meyer for reading.
Thank you. Resolution number 24-29, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Port Richey, Florida, acting as a community redevelopment agency, approving the CRA budget for fiscal year 2024-2025 and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Now, I'll pass it to Mr. Koppler for his introduction.
So once again, I have a brief PowerPoint to kind of go over the highlights of this year's budget. I'll point out on this first slide is this quote: "The vision for the Port Richey CRA is to be a lively, well-connected waterfront community for visitors and residents committed to growing local businesses, retaining the residents, and supporting inclusive redevelopment efforts that benefit all." And so that is the mission statement that came out of the plan update, which I have a hard copy of here, which will hopefully be getting up online, that council has recently approved in the CRA board. And so I wanted to get a little bit into the background of this. So this particular map will outline what is inside the boundaries of the Port Richey Community Redevelopment Agency area. It doesn't include all of the city. At one point, it did include all the city, but areas that effectively, are not in need of redevelopment, don't meet the criteria for slum and blight or redevelopment, have been taken out. And one of the things that I know council's aware of, because we talked about this a little bit, within the budget, we contemplate taking a few areas once again out to reduce what the CRA boundaries will be, which will reduce the amount of money we have to take from the general fund into the Port Richey Community Redevelopment Agency. Within the plan that was recently adopted, I just wanted to call out that there are implementation schedules for things that we need to start doing. This budget starts moving us towards a number of these different projects that they believe we should be spending the CRA money on. And the next slide, actually I'll talk a little bit more about that. But the current year, fiscal year 25 proposed budget is $4,925,317. Balance, you can see, between revenues and expenditures, and about a $464,000 and change increase over fiscal year 2024 budget. Where does CRA funding come from? The primary source of funding for CRAs in Florida is tax increment financing. When a CRA is established, the property tax base within the designated redevelopment area is frozen at its current value. As property values increase over time due to redevelopment and other improvements, the additional property taxes generated above the frozen baseline are set aside for the CRA to reinvest back into the area. This revenue comes both from the city as well as the county property taxes. So again, we're looking at a significant increase in the values within the city. So we are seeing a good increase this year from both the county and the city's property taxes for the CRA funding. Budget highlights. This budget will add the position of CRA coordinator, resiliency coordinator. And this is, in my mind, a very important position to add to our staff. Besides starting to oversee some of the basic things that we're doing now, like the residential grant program and the business grant program that we'll be talking about next week at the CRA board meeting. It also will start moving forward, helping move forward on some of the projects we're going to be talking about here very shortly. Additionally, resiliency is a very important thing for our community. Not only because we're on the coast and there's a lot of coastal resiliency issues that we need to start addressing, not only because there's sea level rise because of climate changes, not only because we get a lot of stormwater and our stormwater system is not where it needs to be, and not just because we have to start redeveloping our commercial base, and not just because we need to start helping our residents improve their properties so we don't fall into a slum and blight issue, but because of all those issues. There's a lot of reasons why having someone that can focus just on these issues is important. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of employees. We have a lot of employees that are focused on a lot of things. And what typically happens is the things that are important get focused on any given day, but those things that are second tier importance don't get focused on. What this position will do will make the CRA's objectives and projects and the resiliency efforts that the city is going to be undertaking over the next 100 years, will make sure that it is a top priority to someone. And I think accountability is very important, and this allows us to get accountability for the projects that I know each one of you believe we should be undertaking as part of the CRA. That being said, we have in this budget $500,000 for the purchase of properties to further the objectives of the CRA, $800,000 budgeted for road improvement projects, $500,000 budgeted for park improvement projects, $300,000 budgeted for sidewalk improvement projects, and then we have right now $100,000 budgeted for residential and business grants. What I didn't have up there, and if I go back, wrong way, if I go back here to some of the phased implementation, one of the things that they really highly recommended, and I think as I think about this more, we really need to start looking at is that wayfinding branding idea. We don't do a good job of pointing out to people that are on 19 or Ridge Road where important things are within the city. And where's our waterfront? It's here. We need to start coming up with the ability for people to be able to move around the city and know where they're going and get to our businesses and important attention areas that we want to do. Within this budget, we do have significant monies that because of the way that the law is for the budgeting, a large portion of that budget is actually money that's in the CRA fund that hasn't been designated for any certain expenditure. And historically, the city kind of plants that money in the professional services. So I think we have opportunities in the upcoming year that we can look at things like the wayfinding and branding to take advantage of with that money, and hopefully there'll be other things that come up that we might be able to start focusing on as well. And that is, in a nutshell, the CRA budget for fiscal year 25.
Thank you. Bring back and open it up for motion and discussion. Again, this kind of preliminary. We'll have the second budget hearing. Actually, make any changes to this through this upcoming workshop. So, are we going to have a separate workshop for the CRA?
Yeah, we're planning on having that workshop Tuesday night after the council meeting.
Okay. So again, we'll hash through this then. So I just make a recommendation we move forward. Motion for approval here, and we'll move on to the next hearing. Second. I have a motion second. Further discussion? No one in the public to speak, so I'll bring it back. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That's all the board business we have. Any old business? Not. Look for a motion. Motion adjourned in a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?